Joe let me know, yeah. It's Joe's fault. All right. I'll call to order the Finance and Personnel Committee meeting, noting this meeting has been published and posted as required by law. First order of business is roll call. We have
Jim Olson here.
Jim Olson here, Bob Muth here, Harvey Bertrand is excused. We also have Hope Burchell, our Human Resource Director, Fred Bueller, our Finance Director, Mayor Chilson, Eric, three of our council members, Alderman Every, Alderman Jerson, and Alderman Benash, as well as our Fire and Police Chief, Jared Holter, and Dan Weck. And otherwise, that's it, everybody in the room. Number 2, approval of minutes from previous meeting.
So move.
Moved by Jim, I'll second that. Discussion, changes? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, so ordered. Item 3, public input. First call for anyone wishing to give public input. Second call for anyone wishing to give public input. Third and final call, anyone wishing to give public input. That portion is now closed. We'll move on to consideration and possible action on the following items. Finance. Number 4, the Omni Center financials for 2017. Fred.
Okay, enclosed in your packet this evening is the Omni financials through the month of October. The revenues represent the revenues through the month of October of $478,936. The expenditures are through the month of September, which is $460,870, which is a surplus of $18,066.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve the Omni Center financials.
Second.
Second by Jim. Any further discussion, questions? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So ordered. Item 5, general fund financials for 2017. Fred.
Okay, enclosed in your packet is the revenues for through the month of October. The revenues are through the month of October. The expenditures are through the month of September. The expenditures represent through the month of September 75% spent, 25% remaining, with the exception of any payroll accounts, which would be actually through the month of April, which would put you at that 16 to 17% remaining. And since there is 3 payrolls back in September, the percentage is a little lower than the 16% remaining. Other than that, there's nothing other than we had referred to compared to last month in reference to any accounts to be concerned about that the department head so don't already know.
Thank you, Fred. Questions? There being none, all in favor of approving the general fund financials for 2017 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So ordered. Item 6, authorization to approve the 2018 full-service contract with the Cooley Regent Humane Society at a rate of $66,840.
So move.
Motion by Jim to approve. I'll second that. Discussion. Fred, we've got a memo.
Yep. What we have is the dollar amount of $66,840 compared to last year's is a differential of $1,608. The terms and the conditions are exactly the same. However, during the time of being gone here, I had not approached the attorneys to get the new contract in place. However, it will be in your packet at the September council meeting, or excuse me, the December council meeting.
Okay. Questions? Discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So ordered. Personnel, item 7, review and consideration of changes to the following job descriptions. A, mechanic to lead mechanic, and B, mechanic/public Works laborer. Jared, we're going to put you on the spot?
I am. I'm going to let Jared talk.
Or Hope? We're going to put Hope on the spot? We're going to put you both on the spot.
Both of us on the spot.
Okay.
Yes, with our recent reorganization, we have also brought forward the inclusion of another mechanic at the Public Works facility. With the amount of vehicles and pieces of equipment that we have, we brought that forward. We have advertised trying to find a mechanic with diesel background experience. What we have found after advertising it a variety of times is that to get a mechanic with heavy diesel experience, the experience that we were looking for to do more of the transmission work, more of the heavy engine work that we need to have done on our equipment spectrum that you see at the Public Works facility, and also other piece of equipment, fire trucks and larger pieces of equipment. We're proposing to put in a lead mechanic and have that position, as the job description states, be a little bit more in charge of not only themselves and the work on the vehicles, keeping track of that work in our new vehicle maintenance software that we have secured, and the fact that then this assistant mechanic or mechanic/laborer then will be the under their tutelage, so they will be able to supervise that person. So that's what we're looking at, trying to find qualified candidates. Mechanics right now is not an easy field to find people that we can get to not farm things out. If we want to get a mechanic that is worked at the corner gas station for 2 years and can change oil and be a lube tech, we can find that, but not what we are wanting to do with what our needs are. So this aligns with what our needs are.
And I think we,
So is there an upgrade to the pay scale because of this?
There is. If you look in the packet tonight, there's the grade E, I think it was, Hope. So we have worked into the grade E, which is in the grading system that we have within the Public Works division. We have not 1 through 30, but we have A, B, C, D, and E. With that, we have increased the expectations of this position to go with that grading. And with that, we also have looked at the budgetary impacts of the position, and with our reorganization that we have done over the last year, we can fit this within those impacts, so we're not having to budget increased funds.
so it's not going to affect the budget at all, though.
No.
Good anticipation.
Yeah, well,
you.
yeah,
Thank you.
we were fortunate in the fact that when we reorganized the Public Works Department recently in the last year, with the positions being changed, altered, and what people got hired at, we had that room of movement to be able to do this.
Good.
Hope, do we have a motion?
No, we need one.
We have one? We need one? I'll make a motion to approve
Thank you,
the
Jared.
mechanic to lead mechanic and mechanic/public works laborer job descriptions approved.
Second.
Second by Jim. Discussion. I just want to point out, again, these positions, how important they are, especially the mechanic. My experience with the city is the mechanics, they are so important because we have so many different types of equipment, and to have the knowledge to be able to do everything from engines, transmissions, you name it, plows and everything. It's just an ongoing battle, especially we got winter coming up and the snow plows, and a mechanic who knows what he's doing and to keep this equipment going is extremely important, and to have a backup for him is just a must. So I appreciate this, Jared, because I know how important this position is. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So ordered. Item 8, review and consideration of authorization to replace, post, and advertise for a lead mechanic and a building coordinator. Hope.
All right. So with changing the job description from mechanic to lead mechanic, then we need to post and advertise for the lead mechanic position. So we just look to get permission to do so. With the building coordinator position, we recently received resignation from our building coordinator over at the Omni Center, and their last day is tomorrow. So it is critically important. We are short-staffed with trying to find seasonal help. at the Omni Center, that we get this position filled so we can sell that building and so that we can get bookings and reservations in that building and get this position filled, because this is going to cause some stress to the staff that we have right now.
I'll make a motion to approve to be able to post and advertise for the lead mechanic and building coordinator.
Second.
Second by Jim. Discussion. There be none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So ordered. Item 9, review and consideration of a one-time bonus for recreation coordinator to take on building coordinator duties while the position is vacant. Hope.
I'll start and I'll let Dan finish. I think he handed out a memo as well. But to put this on the agenda, I put the recreation coordinator position. I'll have the wording changed at council to discuss additional staff members. Because of the number of people that we have picking up the duties from the building coordinator position and farming those out to a variety of different staff members, and then we have staff members that are trying to use their vacation up before the end of the year as well. This is our busiest time for the Omni Center, particularly with a lot of the hockey events going on. So Dan's memo, I think, explains what he's looking for. There's going to be vacated salary with this person being gone. And so we anticipate that there's some additional money that we could reward those employees for picking up those duties and having a one-time bonus. And I think before Christmas would be very nice, knowing that this is probably going to go into January and potentially February as well. So I don't know if Dan has more to add.
Jim.
The only question I have is that I would feel more comfortable if these individual requests were listed on the agenda as they are on the white sheet here.
Yeah, I can put that on the council agenda.
Okay. That would be-
And
that would
I
be
apologize because I initially was just trying to get the agenda out, so I just put one position, so I will need to change that, and then I can indicate on that on the council agenda, so that will be more clarified.
Thank you. Yep. Do you want, I'll make a motion with that change to accept.
We have a motion to accept, and I'll second that motion. Any further discussion? So this white sheet is going to, so the rest of the council will have access to this, so we'll be able to understand.
Then I
and
will make sure
explain.
that the wording is correct as what the memo states.
Excellent. Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So ordered. Item 10.
Item 10 is just a duplicate. I think when we were proofreading it, we didn't see that it was on there twice, so we can just disregard number 10.
We can skip 10. Good. Item 11, review and consideration of paid on-call firefighter / EMT retention incentive program.
And I'll start and I'll let the chief finish, but he put together some numbers that is attached to the agenda to kind of go over some sort of fashion of trying to retain our paid on call. We continue to have a difficult time getting paid on call firefighters and EMT. There's a lot of money invested in training and those kinds of things. And we get them started, and then sometimes they realize how much time this is taking, and then they bow out maybe after a year. As a way to reward those that have stuck with us, gone through the training, and making sure that they're abiding by what we need them to do, and then trying to make sure that they respond to our calls and things like that. The chief put together some of these numbers based on their years of service and their call volume to come up with something. And because the paid on call wage is obviously, there's some additional monies there for this year. They're hoping that then that will maybe draw again for people to stay, as well as, maybe other people like, oh, hey, I got this extra, for my extra work, and then they're gonna put that extra effort in for the next year, so.
My
I don't know if
question-
I
I know we just
summarized that well enough, chief, but
I know we just completed negotiating with the fire contract. So this is going to be above and beyond what was negotiated?
Our paid-on-call firefighters are not unionized.
Union,
So
okay, yes.
these are basically people that, a lot of them do not have previous experience. Most of the time, they have other full-time jobs. This is just something that they want to give back to the community, and there's just an intense amount of training and education that's needed. They make a commitment to do so, and we just want to be able to reward those people that are responding, and to try to keep retaining them, because as they stay here, it helps our group because they keep that knowledge here. We're not losing that knowledge, and it's leaving our doors. And so that's part of why we wanted to put something together, is to keep that knowledge base here.
And Eric?
And just to finalize, I think what Hope was saying, it's a small recognition. These awards aren't substantial, but they have not been recognized in this fashion before. It was attempts to recognize that the challenges of being a paid-on-call firefighter are different than a full-time firefighter, and we appreciate the services that they do. The amounts, at this point, we're still kind of calling it the first or one time, because it fits within the current budget as we expect, and that may not always be the case. Just keep that in mind. So I'm trying to.
So the total amount of what we're doing right now is $2,100. It's just so the citizen knows what we're discussing here. And I did note on the news, I know West Salem's having difficulty getting firefighters, EMT, and I've talked to a few people about this, and this seems to be an ongoing problem in a lot of communities where they just can't get people to get involved like they used to. Back in the Stone Age, when I was on the fire department here, we had more than enough people that wanted to, there was a waiting list for people that wanted to be on the volunteer fire department. And it just goes to show you how times have changed. So I'll make a motion to approve the paid-on-call firefighter EMT retention incentive program.
Second.
Second by Jim. Any further discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So ordered. Item 12, review and consideration of changes to police department policies. Do you want to do these all at once, Chief, or just one at a time, or?
I think if you can do on 12 all of these at one time, he can kind of summarize what those changes are with those policies. That might
Expedite a
speed it
little bit.
along.
Okay. This involves item E is policy 9, use of deadly and non-deadly force. F, policy 24, which is police authority and discretion. And G, policy 25, line of duty shooting procedure. Chief?
So none of these are new policies. They're all standing policies. Most of these are just rewrites as far as cleanups and language. Sometimes there's language changed in the at the state level, definitions, that type of stuff. So what we did is we just went ahead and went through all three of these. They kind of lined up with each other with the use of deadly force. Then we had the authority and discretion and the line of duty shooting. They all kind of dovetailed with each other to look at all three of them at the same time. I don't know if there's any specific questions. The biggest change is the line of duty shooting procedure, and that goes back to the state requiring that if you have a line of duty death, an officer that takes the life of another individual, that we're not the investigatory agency. Somebody else on the outside does that. So that basically brings, this policy is where we address that. We also identify who our investigatory agency will be, which will be the DCI with the state. So if they're not available, then we'd have to go to another source. So that's really the major of the three policies with the changes.
Thank you, sir.
Chief, I've got a few questions.
Okay. We on use of force? Or
Yeah, I'm looking at the policy, page 3, under pepper spray. Section triple I. I just recall that it used to be, anytime pepper spray was used in the past, we had to take them to the hospital to have them treated by medical staff to ensure that their eyes were cleared out and all that. We don't do that anymore?
What part of that were you looking at? You're just asking in general?
Yeah,
I don't believe it's required that they go unless they are requesting. I think anymore, like with the gel and stuff, because all of those are going to the gel.
yeah.
They have the flushing systems right there inside the gel where you can flush the eyes and stuff out. So I don't know if that's why the change has happened over the years. I know that the gel would also make sure if there's medical clearance that needed, that they would make sure of that as well.
The treatment
Eric?
or their aftercare is under F. It doesn't specify the hospital, but they do have steps that the officer must follow for after the use of pepper spray. If you continue down under that sub 3 III, keep going down, C, D, E, and F has the steps required.
What I was trying to look on that is if if they insist, because I know with the taser, that requires a different level of attention than the mace does.
Yeah, when I read about the taser, I noted that to remove the hooks that actually go into the defendant, medical staff removes those, our officers don't remove those?
I think that's how we have it lined up with ours.
I apologize for not
Officers shall.
catching you early. This is kind of blindsiding you a bit here.
Yeah, we can actually do it if the person will grant us permission to. If they don't want us to, then that's where, if they insist on it being done medically, we'll do that. And that's actually addressed under F4, so on page 6. And then there's also more sensitive areas where you might hit that you wouldn't even mess with anyway, but that's obviously a rarity. And the majority of these have stayed intact as far as the wording from the previous policies. Those areas haven't been changed. I'm trying to go back and forth to the changes to the.
Yep. And on page 10, under handcuffing and transport, under section I, it says the arrested person shall not communicate with others except officers while in transport. I'm assuming the medical staff that are treating somebody that, you know, if they're in an ambulance or something, where medical staff is doing their job asking questions, are you allergic to?
Yeah, this is more going to, if we're transporting the person,
Oh, if-
we're not transporting
PD.
two together and letting them communicate back
Yeah.
and forth.
Okay.
So
And I am out of date on police procedure, but under page 11, under handcuffing and transporting, you got item M. Whenever practical, one officer is transporting an arrested person, the arrested person shall be seated in the rear passenger side seat. If there are two officers transporting the arrested person, shall be seated the rear of the driver's seat. And I thought that was strange to me to have the defendant
officers
behind the
transport
driver.
person,
Is that,
the arrested person sorry. So typically what we end up having is one officer transporting. The arrested person shall be in the seat, rear. So that's how normally it ends up happening right now.
Okay.
If there's two officers transporting, the arresting person shall be seated in the rear.
see, the first part of it says.
Yeah, and basically
If
what.
officer's by himself, then he's
Yeah.
going to have him on the opposite side rear seat,
It-
away from the officer, which totally makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But if we got an officer sitting back there, we're now moving the defendant over directly behind the
But I think
driver.
that's where the second officer is actually up front. So both officers are up
Or in front, they're not
And
right.
then they can actually have a better viewpoint when They're behind the
Watching.
driver.
while the
Right.
other operates the vehicle. Okay. That's, I was assuming that the officer was in the back seat with him, and I just wondered why the change. I think that's all I had. Jim, you have anything? No. Okay.
Fine.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve the changes to the police department's policies, policy 9, 24, and 25 as stated.
Second.
Second by Jim. Any further questions, discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. So ordered. Item 13, review and consideration of new police policy number 26, Narcon, and I think we were going to pull that off, if I remember right, because there's some changes that you still wanted to do.
We'll definitely have that here in January.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, so that item is pulled off. Then I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Jim. Discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And we are adjourned at 7:41 PM. Thank you.